The Great Lakes of North America are vast inland seas. They are vital arteries of commerce connecting the industrial heartland to the world. For decades, giant ships have traversed these waters, carrying iron ore, carrying coal, carrying grain. These vessels are known as lakers, built for the unique challenges of these freshwater oceans. Among the most famous was the SS Edmund Fitzgerald. Launched in 1958, she was a true titan of the lakes. At 729 feet long, she held the title of the largest ship on the Great Lakes for over a decade. Her size and power earned her the nickname, the pride of the American side. More than just a ship, a symbol of American industrial might. Her construction was a major event, crowds at the launch. Her career was distinguished, setting records for most tonnage in a single season. Known for luxurious accommodations, rare for a freighter. She carried taconite iron ore pellets from the mines of Minnesota to the steel mills near Detroit and to Toledo. Her voyages were routine, a steady, reliable pulse of the Great Lakes economy. The ship and her crew were well regarded, known for professionalism and experience on treacherous waters. This documentary will chronicle the final voyage of the Edmund Fitzgerald. We will use only verified historical materials from the era. Every image, every sound, every piece of data drawn from archives dated 1975 or official investigation records. You will see photographs of the ship as she was. You will hear reenactments of actual radio transmissions. You will review maps and weather charts from that specific time. Our approach is strictly factual, adhering to reports from the United States Coast Guard and the National Transportation Safety Board. No speculation, only a calm, investigative timeline. The story is a somber one. A powerful ship and its capable crew meeting the overwhelming force of nature. On November 10, 1975, the ship, her cargo, and all 29 men aboard were lost in a violent storm on Lake Superior. The sinking became one of the most famous and debated maritime disasters in Great Lakes history. By examining authentic records, we can piece together a clear minute-by-minute account. This is not legend, a careful reconstruction of verified facts from that fateful November day. November on the Great Lakes has a fearsome reputation. The weather can change with astonishing speed. Sailors have long spoken of the Witch of November. Cold, dry air from the Arctic sweeps down. Relatively warm, moist air sits over the lakes. Those air masses collide and create powerful storm systems, often called November gales. They can produce hurricane-force winds. They can produce massive waves rivaling the open ocean. Great Lakes shipping history is full of ships lost to late-season storms. The Edmund Fitzgerald was about to face one of the worst. On the morning of Sunday, November 9, 1975, the SS Edmund Fitzgerald was docked at the Burlington Northern Railroad Dock No. 1 in Superior, Wisconsin. The air was cold, carrying the sharp scent of the coming winter. The sky was a flat, uniform gray, a typical late autumn sight on Lake Superior. The ship was preparing for what seemed a routine voyage. The primary task of the day was to load her cavernous cargo hold with taconite pellets. According to official records, the ship was loaded with 26,116 long tons of pellets. This brought her to her maximum allowable draft for that time of year. The crew on deck worked diligently, ensuring the weight was distributed evenly and securing the massive hatch covers. The destination for this final cargo was a steel mill on Zug Island, near Detroit, Michigan. The planned route would take the Fitzgerald across the entire length of Lake Superior. While loading continued, weather advisories were already being broadcast. The National Weather Service had issued gale warnings for Lake Superior. Such warnings were serious, but not uncommon for November. The decision to sail was left to the captain's discretion. On this day, the forecast, while ominous, did not appear severe enough to delay the Fitzgerald. At 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time, the SS Edmund Fitzgerald officially departed from the dock in Superior, Wisconsin. The massive ship moved slowly away from the pier, its deep whistle echoing across the harbor. She glided out into the gray, choppy waters of Superior Bay, passing under the Duluth Aerial Lift Bridge and heading toward the open lake. Another vessel, the SS Arthur M. Anderson, departed from the nearby port of Two Harbors, Minnesota, about 2 hours after the Fitzgerald. The two ships were now on parallel tracks, separated by a distance of about 10 to 15 miles. Their similar routes and the radio communication between their captains effectively made them traveling partners. The initial National Weather Service forecast had predicted gale force winds, but by late afternoon, the forecast was upgraded. The warnings now spoke of storm force winds. By early evening, on November 9th, the Edmund Fitzgerald was well out onto the open waters of Lake Superior. The ship and its crew were now sailing directly into the path of what would become one of the most violent storms ever recorded on the Great Lakes. As night fell on November 9th, the storm system began to unleash its full power upon Lake Superior. The low-pressure center passed directly over the lake, creating the most violent conditions. By the early hours of November 10th, sustained winds topped 50 knots, gusts exceeded 75 knots. Hurricane force. The Anderson reported waves of 18 to 25 feet. More alarmingly, rogue waves, massive walls of water, appeared. Snow and freezing spray reduced visibility to near zero. White water, black sky, making navigation a monumental challenge. Their Canadian shore route offered little protection from the northeasterly onslaught. At 3:30 p.m. on the afternoon of November 10th, the routine but tense radio communications between the two ships took a grave turn.
In a calm voice, McSorley reported a problem. "Anderson, this is the Fitzgerald.
I have a fence rail down, a couple of vents lost or damaged. I am taking on water." Following this alarming report, McSorley made another critical statement. He informed Captain Cooper that both of his radars were inoperative. Without it, the Fitzgerald was effectively sailing blind. He was concerned about his list. He reported, "I have a bad list." The combination of a list, flooding, and the loss of critical navigational equipment placed the Edmund Fitzgerald in an extremely vulnerable position. The Anderson's radar showed the Fitzgerald moving closer to the 6-fathom shoal, a hazardous shallow area north of Caribou Island. Around 7:10 p.m., the mate on watch aboard the Anderson, Morgan Clark, contacted the Fitzgerald one last time. From the pilot house of the Edmund Fitzgerald, Captain McSorley gave his final now-famous reply. His voice, still calm, came over the radio. "We are holding our own." Just minutes after that final communication, the snow squall briefly lifted, and the crew of the Anderson could see the lights of the Fitzgerald on the horizon. Then another squall moved in. At approximately 7:15 p.m., the radar target that represented the Edmund Fitzgerald vanished from the Anderson's screen. The giant ship had disappeared.
Narrator VO. At approximately 7:39 p.m., Captain Cooper made the official call. "I am very concerned with the welfare of the steamer Edmund Fitzgerald."
Narrator VO. Despite the immense danger, Cooper and his crew honored the unwritten law of the sea. The Anderson slowly and laboriously turned its bow back into the teeth of the gale. Narrator VO. The crew scanned the violent waves with searchlights, a near impossible task. Narrator VO. The only items found were pieces of floating wreckage, 2 of the Fitzgerald's lifeboats, both severely damaged. Narrator VO. As dawn broke, the Coast Guard's air search began in earnest. Narrator VO. From the air, the scale of the debris field was small, reinforcing the conclusion that the ship had sunk rapidly and largely intact. Narrator VO. On November 14th, a United States Navy aircraft equipped with a magnetic anomaly detector registered a strong magnetic anomaly in the vicinity of the Fitzgerald's last known position. Narrator VO. A Coast Guard buoy tender, the USCGC Woodrush, was dispatched to the site, equipped with a side-scan sonar system. Narrator VO. Finally, the sonar returned a clear and undeniable image. There, on the muddy bottom of the lake, lay a massive object that matched the dimensions of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Narrator VO. The wreck was located in Canadian waters at a depth of approximately 530 feet. The initial sonar scans indicated that the ship was not in one piece. Narrator VO. In May 1976, the Coast Guard returned. They deployed an unmanned submersible, the cable-controlled underwater recovery vehicle, Curve 3. Narrator, VO. Out of murk, the massive steel form of the Edmund Fitzgerald emerged. The name Edmund Fitzgerald was clearly visible on the bow. Narrator, VO. The stern section lay upside down, twisted and mangled, showing extreme structural failure. Narrator, VO. The report concluded that the most probable cause of the sinking was the loss of buoyancy and stability resulting from massive flooding of the cargo hold through ineffective hatch closures. Narrator, VO. The National Transportation Safety Board placed greater emphasis on the possibility that the ship had sustained damage earlier by scraping the bottom on the 6-fathom shoal. Narrator, VO. The loss of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald and her entire crew of 29 men remains the most famous disaster in the history of Great Lakes shipping. Narrator, VO. The ship, once a symbol of industrial strength known as the pride of the American side, narrator, VO, now rests as a solemn memorial in the cold, dark depths of Lake Superior. Narrator, VO. The event led to significant changes in maritime safety regulations, including requirements for survival suits, emergency position indicating radio beacons, and more stringent inspections of hatch closures. Narrator, VO. And of the 29 lives lost to the fury of a November gale.